Perfecto. Come on in. Insights, analyses, and a lot of fun. Come on in. Hello, hello, hello. I am sorry if I'm keeping you waiting. Just 1 second. And here we go. Perfect. God created. If you can hear me properly, do give me a shout. If you can hear me properly, just let me know. Because that's always a bit of a problem, yeah? Do not want that. Do not want that. Great. That wasn't the simultaneous sip. That wasn't the simultaneous sip. If you can hear me properly, give me a shout. Give me a shout, folks. Then we'll begin. Very awkward with front of cameras, but I try. I die each time I can hear you. Hi Raju, thank you so much for that. Thank you. And so we'll begin. All right. Let's give you the show that you deserve. You deserve it. Ba-bum bum, ba-bum bum 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 bum, ba-bum bum bum. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We are having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We are working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our wives, our husbands, our friends, everybody. Not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Things just got better, folks. With Thinker's Frequency, we're gonna read between the lines things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. And we're gonna make it fun. Like imagine tuning into a fun session of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before you start your day. Well, your imagination just came true. But before we begin, we're gonna follow a tradition, right? You know what it is, right? You know about the simultaneous sip? We're gonna do the simultaneous sip. We're gonna pick something and drink together. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a cup, a mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice, a stein, a canteen jug, a flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. Today I'm having milk. And here we go. My God. Dopamine hit of the day. Highlight. Absolute highlight. Beautiful. Lovely. Did you take the sip? Well, I hope you did. I hope you did. Okay, so today's news begins with Scotch meets match. Local single malts win hearts. Local single malts, local Indian whiskies are actually getting their due, getting their moment in the sun now. People are less worried about Scotch, which comes from Scotland. But you know what? There's a very interesting fact which says that alcohol consumption is going down. Alcohol consumption is itself going down. Did you know about it? Do you know that alcohol consumption worldwide is going down? At least in the Western world and even in India, it's going down. What do you think about that? What do you think about the declining alcohol consumption? Why do you think it's happening? In the West, in India? Why is that? Would anybody like to say anything? You can think about it. Why must the alcohol consumption be going down? A lot of people have theories and hypotheses. People think it's healthy lifestyle, which is reducing alcohol consumption. You know, they think people are getting conscious about their health and the perils of drinking alcohol. But do you think it's true? Do you think it's because people are finally realizing that alcohol wasn't good for them? It took like 100 years, more than 100 years, for people to realize that drinking alcohol wasn't something good? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Not true. Not true. But what can be the hypothesis? Well, one hypothesis could be the Western world's population decline, right? People are not growing anymore. Since people are not growing, people are getting older. And as you get older, how much can you drink? Right? That could be one way of looking at things, right? If you think about it very inquisitively, that's what you could say. That maybe people are getting old and people are not really, they can't drink as much when they're old. That's fair. That's a fair thought. But even then, people who are still young, countries who are still young, let's say India is still young and other countries are still, why are they not drinking enough? That the market is stagnating and going down. It is going down. Please don't doubt me, you know. Somebody says no, it might can't be going down. It is going down. So I'll get you the figures for that. In 2024, total beverage alcohol volumes across 20 top markets decreased by 1% compared to 2023. So forget about growing. Any industry grows a bit every year. Hello, good morning, Nishant. Good morning to you too. So nice of you. So every industry just grows like to manage inflation, right? That's what 7%, 4%, 3%, 2%, 10%. But this industry is going down. Total beverage alcohol volumes decreased 1%, marking a 2% decline from pre pandemic levels in 2019. So it's not just a couple of years. Since 2019, it's been going down. And even in India, if you look at it, between 2016 to 2021, average consumption among men dropped from 29% to 17.5%, 15 to 49 years old. So it's clearly going down. Hi Ayush, I'm saying Happy New Year. Good morning. Yeah, so it is going down. The question is why? What do you think must be the reason? Okay, so I'll stop waiting. It's because of weed. That's what I think. It's because of weed. What do you think about that? Huh? Do you think marijuana's consumption is a reason that people are not drinking as much anymore? Because people around me, you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, so I'm not party to this economy. Unfortunately, I don't contribute to Indian economy as much as I'd like to. But people around me are all about weed these days, right? Not just around me, but people in general. They smoke a lot of weed. They smoke a lot of hash. There are other recreational drugs due to which alcohol is going down. You used to pour a drink, now you make a joint. Does it make sense to you? It does make sense to me. Though you never know. You never know. But anyway, single malts are picking up because people are getting more interested. Growth in 2025 was 25% for single malt, Indian single malt, and Scotch declined overall. So they're saying that India is finally waking up to the single malt fever, which is interesting. And they also said that there's something called Angel's Fair, uh, where it's the evaporation in the barrel, the aging barrel for Scotch. So it leads to some evaporation, right? Now in Scotland, that evaporation is 1.5, 2.5%. But in India, due to our heat, that evaporation is way, way up. Due to which the aging of that scotch doesn't take so much time. That's interesting. That's interesting, right? Indian single malts can be as good as scotch because of Angel's Fair, you know, the evaporation of everything. Very interestingly, government, Ms. Nirmala Sitaraman said, government favors wealth creation, profit not a bad word. Well, of course, profit shouldn't be a bad word, but profit was a bad word in India. If anybody remembers, profit used to be a bad word. In the socialist era of times, people used to be taxed at 97%. Did you know that Indians used to be taxed at 97% in 1970s? 1970%, 97% of tax. That's why nobody used to pay tax, right? That's why people still evade so much of uh, taxation in India, because they still have that PTSD from the 1970s, where they used to be taxed 97%. Uh, and now, of course, every policy by this government of is reflective of integral humanism. Well, that's something new. Integral humanism. With US grudging visas, students veer to EB5. Students veer to EB5. Do you know what EB5 is? EB5 is an investment route to US where they take $800,000 or $700,000, $800,000, 7 crores, uh, and it gives you green card or permanent residency. $800,000. That needs to generate some jobs and invest some money. That's how it works. My friend used to be running a company which used to help people get EB5, and they were very rich. So it's a very good business. It's always a very good business to send people abroad, right? Because no poor person, you don't have to deal with underprivileged poor people. Your clientele is extremely rich. The person who's looking at investing $800,000, 7 crores, just to get permanent residency or citizenship in US is obviously not a poor person. And then, if somebody's spending that much, it's likely that they'll be able to spend for you some markup, whatever. So it's a good business. It was a good business, and it is a good business still. But I'm not. I'm just very happy, man. Unhappy about this because like US put such hard lines to avoid people from India, but Indians are like all over the place trying to find ways to go to US somehow, anyhow. EB5, they might even get that gold card which Trump brought. So Trump, instead of this EB5, he calls this a scam because investing 7 crores, there might just be a lot of rigmarole there. So he said just buy something for 5 or 10 million dollars, a card, a gold card, a US gold card, and you get straight citizenship. A gold card. Yeah, so how much does that cost? Gold card US cost $5 million. So 45 crores and you get a gold card. But anyway, so people are, even when US is putting so much of restrictions to Indians, like Indians are somehow still hell bent on going there. This is something that India needs to solve for, man. Why are the rich people in India still leaving India despite integral humanism as an approach by the finance minister or the Indian economy doing whatever it is doing? Why is that happening? That shouldn't be happening, right? It's not nice. But somehow EB5, yesterday we discussed people going to Latvia. Anyway, I mean, they just want to escape India. How much do they hate India? And why? And if it's so, what can India do about it? Because that's a very big problem, right? It's something to be solved for. Steel tariff hike by US to hurt, says FIO. Federation of Indian Exports Organization says that steel tariff hike by US might just hurt us because India exports some $6 billion of steel, approximately $6 billion of steel and 1 billion of aluminium. So almost a billion, 0.86 billion of aluminium. So $6 billion of exports might just be looking at, because Trump is trying to revive the steel manufacturing, right? The whole Rust Belt. So Trump won on this promise. The red states, blue states, and then there's this Rust Belt. And all of that has faced a lot of ostracism from the US society in general because all the steel mills closed, everything closed, and nothing stayed in US. No jobs for the manufacturing kind. And it just got ruined. So Trump, sticking to his campaign promises, is essentially looking at uh, reviving the steel industry, and I don't know how that's gonna go, but that's certainly planned. Now, Indian CDS, Mr. Anil Chauhan, has really embarrassed the entire country. He's like really embarrassed the entire country by saying suffered jet loss, but so he had an interview with Bloomberg yesterday. That was such an embarrassment. It was a train wreck. That interview was a train wreck, and I don't know why he did that interview. He just embarrassed the entire country, the prime minister, the defense minister. Nobody was saying anything about the jet losses or anything, and he said it doesn't matter how many jets were lost. It matters why they were lost. And the mistakes we did, we rectified them. That's what he said to a Bloomberg journalist. Firstly, why does the Indian CDS need to talk to a Bloomberg journalist? Secondly, if he's doing, why doesn't he stick to the government's talking points? Because it can lead to national embarrassment. And thirdly, why are you admitting your mistakes, if at all there were any? Isn't it against the entire philosophy of keeping your head held high? What happens, it doesn't matter how many jets were downed. It matters why they were downed. What? What? Okay. And then he also said both sides maintained rationality during the war, essentially equating Indian armed forces with Pakistani armed forces. Again, a terrible, terrible PR setback to entire national narrative of, it could have been better if you just avoided saying about the losses and said losses are a part of it, or I don't want to say anything about losses. But in fact, the previous statement by an air marshal uh, during the press conference of Operation Sindoor was great. He said, whatever I say about this will be directly beneficial to Pakistan. And Operation Sindoor is not done yet. It's still on. So I wouldn't want to give any strategical advantages to our enemies. That was brilliant. Uh, you know, that was a brilliant way to put it. But whatever Mr. Chauhan said really screwed everything. Daily Hunt parent and AI startup faked business. So Builder.ai, you remember Builder.ai? It's in news. So they were positioning themselves as an AI company, but they essentially had coders in India doing all the coding. So there was an AI company called Builder.ai. It's a very big company. It had raised a lot of money or something. Once valued at $1.5 billion. dollars. You know, uh, and then it was positioning itself as an AI play, but then it turned out that it just had like people, Indian people doing coding in the back. Man. And then it's turned out that these people, these Builder.ai and guys, they were actually round tripping finances. So they were billing Daily Hunt, the Verse Innovations company, Daily Hunt. Daily Hunt was billing them the same amount, paying GST or whatever. So they were inflating each other's revenues. It's come out. Years long round tripping. So Daily Hunt, just like ShareChat, is a content play in India. And just like ShareChat, they seem to be, you know, they seem to be very interesting. Like they were years of round tripping, to which Mr. Bedi, the co-founder of Verse, Daily Hunt has said, absolutely baseless and false. We are not the kind of company that is in the business of inflating revenues. So Daily Hunt says we are not in the business of inflating revenues. So he does acknowledge that it is a business. Like round tripping of revenues is a business, right? So, but we are not a company that's involved in that line of business. We are in the content play, says Mr. Bedi. Do you believe him? There's a report, man. If Builder.ai's finances show round tripping, there's nothing that he can say about it, right? Uh, Corporate India has a sleep problem. Yeah, sure. Exactly. Growing number of employees and founders are struggling with lack of sleep. Many are seeking professional help. 58% of corporates poor sleep, 59% get less than 6 hours of sleep, prolonged working hours, and so on. It's obviously a big problem. I was building a company called Helping Sleep. I knew about the sleep problem. I was very concerned about it, and I thought I should do something. And I tried building a company called Helping Sleep, where I essentially created a device which emulated the rain sound. So rains are supposed to be calming. The sound of rain, it's supposed to be calming and very therapeutic, and it leads to much better sleep. So after I got tinnitus, I had a COVID shot, and right after I got that COVID shot, I got tinnitus. And when I got tinnitus, I couldn't sleep. So I put on in my surround sound rain sound videos, right? And they help me sleep. But what happens is when you use rain sound on speakers, every speaker has a static frequency, and that sort of hurts your ears. If you're exposing yourself to 6 hours or 8 hours of speakers static frequency, it can hurt your ears very very badly, and it did. So my ears were like jammed after I used that rain sound video. So I made a device which could emulate rain sound organically. So the water needs to go and needs to fall, and it needs to have that rain kind of a thing. I made that device, but I figured it would be very difficult for it to sell. Also, it was heavy, 2 kgs. I thought it would be very difficult for it to sell, and if there comes return, so there would be a lot of heavy investments in making that device, and then if returns happen, I'll be screwed. So I didn't go forward with it. But yeah, India has a sleep problem definitely. During in the course of that building helping sleep, I looked at the data. So I talked to 1,500 people on call. So I used to call. I ran Facebook ads. I talked to people who were facing helping sleep issues, and everybody I talked to who had this problem which reached a clinical level, they all went to whoever went to doctors. They all got prescribed sleeping pills, all of them. So clearly the medical system is very very broken, that people are just like going to the doctor for sleeping issues. The doctor is not asking them for uh, their habits, their food habits, their physical activity, their nutrition, anything. They're not asking them anything, and they're just giving them sleeping pills like alprazolam and whatnot. And in one of the cases, there is something called daytime sleepiness disorder, right? Where you're feeling sleepy even during the day despite having slept a lot. And I, in every case, I talked to 200 people with that problem. Everybody who went to the doctor gave them more sleeping pills, which was crazy, right? Because these people said that they're already sleeping, and the person said, like, take more sleeping pills, because probably because your the night sleep which you think is proper isn't proper. And when I read about it, I found that daytime sleepiness disorder might just be because of a deficiency of vitamin B7, which is biotin. So I talked to those people, 20 people, and I told them that they might just have this deficiency. They could get tested or something. And 15 people took that, and all of them felt better within a week and a half. All of them. And I talked to them 2 weeks later. So medical system is obviously pretty amazing. Mr. Karthik Menon says, Bhai Seneca La, I am rooting for you. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying. I reduced the ask from 40 CR to 28 CR to 16 CR. And every time I talk to investors about this, the conversations heat up. Everything is great. They all like the pitch. They love the pitch. They say it's one of the most passionate pitches they've ever heard in their lives. And then when it comes to making a decision, they say, you know, and so on and so forth. So right now, even now, there are some conversations happening, but I'm not sure. It's not. I don't have like 16 CRs right now lying around. When I do, I definitely bootstrap this as well, like everything else I've made, bootstrapped. By the way, sleeping is an issue due to which I started this thinker's frequency as well. Because I thought, I used to sleep at 6:37 in the morning, and sleeping at 6:37 in the morning wasn't great for me. Wasn't working out very well. So I thought I should make a routine, and I was very inspired by Coffee with Scott Adams, and I had read his book at How to Fail at Almost Anything and Still Win Big, where he says that it helps to have that routine working out for you, where you're waking up early and so on. Everybody says wake up early. My mother says wake up early. Every parent wants you to wake up early. So I thought, okay, I'll try. And the reason there was another book I had read called Thinking Fast and Slow, in which that research said that people perform better when they think they're being watched. So I was like, and that worked for me because I used to read a lot. But then I started a campaign called 52 Books in a Year, where I used to read a book, post its picture, and write a few words on Facebook and so on. So I did that campaign for 11 years. I started it in 2012. I finished it in 2022. And in the course of those 11 years, I didn't manage to read 52 in any of those years, but I averaged 40. So I read a lot of books. All of these books that you're looking at, they're from my 52 books a year campaign. It really helped me. And I did that because people were watching. I thought people were watching. And they were. They were actually reading my reviews and stuff. So that helped. And now the sleep thing is going on with Thinker's Frequency. I hope you are finding it useful as well. Dharavi revamp plan focuses on mixed use cluster layouts. Does anybody know about Dharavi development plans? Dharavi is going on with a massive redevelopment project. So it's just incredible, the scale at which this is happening is huge. Is huge. The total cost of this project is like 1 lakh crore, about 1 lakh crore. It's being done by Adani. So investments and everything is being taken care of by Adani, and then it's going to be an 80-20 split between Adani and uh, the slum rehabilitation agency or whatever. So they are saying that they're going to have spaces where people can walk and people can uh, basically playgrounds and some meeting areas, community halls and stuff. So this project has started or is starting very soon, and it should be over by 2030, right? Dharavi redevelopment project is essentially looking at getting over, not in 2030, but sometime soon. So let me just check when Dharavi redevelopment project, when will Dharavi redevelopment project be finished? 7 years. Okay, 7 years to construct. Begin within 6 to 8 months. So we are at 2025 right now. 7 to 8 years. That's 2033, 2034, 2033. That's ambitious for a scale of. Dharavi is Asia's largest slum. I don't know if it's world's largest slum, but Asia's largest slum definitely. And even imagining something like that getting developed is huge. It's huge, right? It's just almost unbelievable. So that's going on. Big Basket enters rapid food delivery space in Bangalore. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. So Big Basket has Indian hotels. Tata Group has Indian hotels. Tata Group also has Starbucks. and these people are trying to do a 10-minute food delivery about coffee and snacks from these places, and they're investing a lot in it. Hari Menon sir, who said that we are going to go forward with this, will be looking at 30,000 SKUs. Huge projects. I don't know if anybody needs these things in 10 minutes though. That's always a question, right? Fresh grads are facing hurdles in the job market. Of course, uh, big companies, the mass recruiters, they're not hiring anymore. There's a 50% decline in mass recruiters. So that's leading to a lot of nervousness for young folks, because India makes a lot of engineers, right? Entry level job market is grimmer than ever, says the report. 89 companies came to campus versus 42, with many mid-sized firms and startups. However, hiring numbers of big recruiters were 50 to 7%, 70% of last year. So that's obviously a very big fall. And that's not unexpected, because the kind of pressure these companies are going through, it's unbelievable, right? I don't know if for how long will they even be able to hire these freshers. Moving on, into family drama. They've written a deep dive, Economic Times guys, that family businesses are looking at succession planning. Of course, family businesses are looking at succession planning, and a very good book to read about this is Four Brothers and a Revolution, the history of Hero Group. So Hero Group, apparently led by Sunil Kant Munjal sir, created an extraordinary succession plan. They created a constitution, and they led to a very good succession plan for the Hero family. So Hero family had four brothers: Brijmohan Lal Munjal sir, and then three brothers: Dayanand sir, and so on. I don't remember other two. And then they had kids. So Pawan Munjal sir, Sunil Kant Munjal. So there's a huge family tree of Hero. So Sunil Kant Munjal sir, in the 2000s or 2010s, no 2000s, he led a constitution-led succession planning program, where they created rules for the family members that they'll not engage in competitive behavior and so on and so forth. So they don't end up like JK's, Singhania's, and other family businesses which are still huge, but engage in a lot of bad practices, for self-harming practices, not bad practices. But uh, apparently, Hero is also not being able to do that successfully, despite having such exemplary succession planning. uh, Hero has a lot of problems. So Hero Electric is not Hero Motocorp. A lot of people don't realize this, but Hero Electric is not Hero Motocorp. Hero Electric is run by a different family, and Hero Motocorp is run by another different family, and they both have nothing to do with each other. Now, Hero Motocorp and Hero Electric were in a lawsuit for a long time, because Hero Electric came first. They are the ones who pioneered electric mobility, EV, two-wheeler EV system in this country. And then Hero Motocorp, led by Pawan Munjal sir, actually entered their market, which is against their uh, constitution, right? So there was a huge battle where these people who created this EV ecosystem, Hero Electric guys, from a different and smaller family in Hero, were taken over. Their whole market was usurped by Hero Motocorp. Now, why Hero Motocorp had to do it is because its two-wheeler marketplace was going down. So Hero Motocorp is itself struggling. It has, for the first time, it's in number 2 spot or number 3 spot. Hero Motocorp is declining. They don't have the premium motorcycles to sell in the market, which is leading to a lot of problems. So that is going on, but these people had a clash despite that constitution, and despite such a nice plan by Sunil Khan Munjal sir, which the entire family agreed to. So OP Munjal sir used to lead Hero Cycles. Brijmohan Munjal sir used to lead Hero Motorcorp, and they both separated. And then I don't know what's happening. So it's a very tough situation. Easier said than done. Another book on this is The Inheritors, where they talk a lot about succession planning and family business management, led by Sonu Bhasin ma'am. She has written books and she's also worked in this domain. So she consults family businesses to, manage this. So, software going soft. Software going soft is a report by which says job creation is in a big trouble because in IT contributes 8% to Indian GDP and 5.8 million people, 60 lakh people are getting hired by IT, and it's all at risk right now, you know. So because people are realizing 50% of cognizance code is being written by AI. So if AI takes over, obviously the man and material business model goes down, right? There is no surprise to that. But still, these people are saying no, it's going to create a lot of opportunities. The usual lie. People really need to figure out what happens if people lose jobs. Now, the question whether people will lose jobs should be obsolete. Nobody should be asking, is are jobs going to get lost? Of course, they're going to get lost. What people should be asking as the next question is, what will happen once people lose jobs? Now, that should be the conversation, which will lead to interesting, insights. Because people can often evade responsibility by saying, "Hey, they're gonna not gonna be any job losses. Don't worry, everything is fine." That's just evasion of future responsibility for short-term gains. Your earnings will be boosted, everything will be great. People will lose jobs, and you don't care. So you can say, no, we are in trouble right now. We don't know what's going to happen right now, but jobs are going to be there tomorrow, new jobs. No, 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 no. Ask them, what happens when people lose jobs? Now that will lead to interesting questions because as written in Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy by Douglas Adams, it's not the answer, it's the question. If you ask the right question, you might just get some correct insights. If you ask great questions, you might just get some answers. But if you don't ask good questions, you might just get fugazi and fairy dust, right? So that's a bit of a problem. Trump backs Nippon's US steel alloy, announces fresh tariffs, as I mentioned that. So China's factory activity is slowing down, but it's showing signs. Somehow China has picked itself up, man. Everybody thought that ever grand real estate bust of China would lead to a lot of problems, but it didn't. How can it lead problems? Because most of China's debt is local, and China makes like China's exports are greater than Indian economy, and their forex reserves are at $4 trillion, and they're making money every year. They're like profits, their total exports, China's total exports. China total exports reached 3.5 trillion. 3.5 trillion, and China's profits from total exports. Yeah, 3.5 trillion, and 3.5 trillion is a lot of money, and it makes it gives net cash to China every year. So somehow they manage that real estate bust, but everybody still hopes that China will somehow falter, and China's economy is a bubble, and something will happen. I don't know when will that happen. I'm seriously not sure, but I'll be looking out for that time. It'll be very good for India. F1, Need for Speed. India wants to host F1, but they don't. So India hosted F1. Buddh International Circuit had you know, Indian Grand Prix 2011, 12, and 13. Sorry about that. Indian 2011, 12, and 13 had Indian Grand Prix, but audiences just declined from 95,000 to 65,000 to 60,000, and then they never came back. Of course, why will they, right? Why will they? There are a lot of problems with the entire spiel. There was something happened in Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad. I think Hyderabad E-Prix happened. E-Prix. It's not Prix, it's Prix, Grand Prix. E-Prix happened in 2023, but then the next government came and they cancelled it. They alleged corruption. Very interestingly, World Rally Championship never happened, but MotoGP happened in 2023, but it had attendance of just 58,000 people, and most of them must have been freeloaders. So, I don't know when it's gonna happen. Yesterday, somebody asked, "Do you think India is ready for Olympics in 2036?" And I said, definitely. By 2036, that's 11 years from now, India will be a $2 trillion, oh, sorry, $8 trillion economy. India's economy would have doubled by 2036. Definitely, India should hope to aspire to host Olympics by then. If an $8 trillion economy doesn't host Olympics, what the hell are we even doing? But I'm not sure about F1. That's definitely a very tough battle. And that's the news for the day, folks. That's the news for the day. Interestingly, a study happened where they found out that if you're nice people generally lead to much better relationships and more cooperation and career success. They did a study for this. It's one of the things that they could have just, looked. I mean, be nice. Obviously, being nice will help lead to more cooperation and better work relationships and whatnot. Why would it not? But they actually did a study on that. So, anyway, this was today's Thinker's Frequency. I hope you had a good time, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. Not at work though, it's Sunday. I hope you don't have to work on Sundays. I do. But I hope you have a beautiful day. So, see you tomorrow. Bye bye.